call this meeting to order. This Waterboro Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is John Tufts, Chairman. I'll introduce the rest of the board here, starting with
Beth Sue.
Mark Sear.
Sean Shoemaker.
Dwayne Woodson.
Is everybody signed? There we are, signed. Okay. The purpose of this hearing is to review the administration appeal application of Nicholas and Susan Masiello. The applicants are appealing the decision of the planning board and allowing a setback reduction in order for an abutter to construct a garage. The property is located at 609 Ross Connell Road, tax map 47, lot 134. The board determines if we have jurisdiction, and I believe we do. Everybody, huh?
I would believe we do too.
You're gonna,
Did you make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we do have jurisdiction to hear this case.
I'll second that.
all in favor? The Masellos, or come up, state your wishes, you state your case or whatever.
Right. My name is Nicholas Masiello. Now, in the appeals I put in there, I feel it's too close to the road. I feel it's out of character with the neighborhood. I got some pictures here that I can show you. And you've read the appeal, right?
Yep.
All right, the different addresses and how far they are away. Back before zoning, most of the houses built in the area were set closer towards the water than it was towards the road, just because that's what they did back then. So a lot of them are 75 feet back, at least. The ones that aren't, that are directly across the street from them, if the road was located where it was originally located, I got some pictures here I can show you. And got a survey. Yeah, I'm sure you have that. This is where the road used to be. And this here shows, this is an actual picture. This is a picture where you can see where the road went on the other side of that pole. It might be easier. And this is one thing, and this is a view of it. So those houses over there that are close, they would have been further away if the road was on the other side of that telephone pole where the sensor should be.
How long's that road been where it is now?
It was dirt and then it was tarred. It's,
So nobody moved it intentionally?
well, it washed out, I think. I'm pretty
Huh?
sure- It had washed out years ago, and I'm sure they put it in, quick fix, and then when they were gonna tar it, rather than move it, sounds like you're probably gonna save money, but it's still on the other side of the pole, it shouldn't be.
I don't know. Yeah.
And, I mean, just, this is a blurry picture, but it is still a picture. And you can see how close the garage is to the road. I don't know if it meets it. And I don't know if he's going by his property line or this line here. Now, his property line, there's been a question on the property line whether this is his property line. This is the deeded line. This is in his deed right here. Not this one. This here is what the surveyor thinks it should be. But those pins there are where the property line is, and if you go to the deed, that's where it says it is.
So what's the difference between these two?
Right here. Those are his pins, and these are the reference points that are on his deed. that line that the surveyor put there, that goes up to that telephone pole, he says the intent was to have the road up against the property line of lot 34. But if he did, then this would have been a straight line if that was the intent. This wouldn't have had a bend in it.
Okay.
Right. Other people would have been here. I had a neighbor come over to me, and anybody that had sent a letter, or one of the people that had signed this letter, which it doesn't seem like anybody, a lot of people can't write letters. So me and some neighbors sat down and we wrote these, and the people agreed with them, and they signed each one of them. They might be the same, but it was put together by the neighbors, and all the addresses there. I don't think these were given enough. Look at that.
Were these presented to the planning board?
Yes, they
Okay.
referred to it as a form letter. It's, all right. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure you got copies of these, or you did. They were at the planning board meeting, I don't know if anybody read them. All right. You want to read them? Or?
No, you can leave them right there until after the meeting.
Okay. Now, there's a question with that surveyor's there too, that you're looking at. Now, I went out and got this done. Now, this was just done by Middle Branch. Of this line here, between lot 34 and lot 35, in relation to the fences there. This is my fence. This is my lot, this is 35, that's 35, that's 34, that's 34. This is the fence line from pin to pin. He went from pin to pin and plotted every one. It cost me a little bit of money, but it doesn't show, it doesn't, this was back in July, the one you got, the one there, that was revised in July of '08. All right, I just got this done a couple of days ago. All right, they don't look right to me. That's this line right there.
I understand.
Okay. Now, since then, like I said, there was probably been other people there. But the Holdens had bought the lot between lot 34 and lot 32. There's no number given to it. But it has the public access to the people across the street to get to the lake. I had a neighbor come over to me, and he was really upset because Dustin said anybody that signed one of those letters wasn't going to be able to have access to the lake across his land, whether it was deeded or not. So there would have been other neighbors here, but they don't want to get involved with this because they want to be able to go to the lake. Now,
Are you familiar with the area?
this, you have an aerial map there.
Yeah.
Okay, I can show you. This is where the road, this is where the garage is gonna go.
Yeah.
All right, that's my house, it's very close. That's the whole house. And that's where the road should have been on the other side of that pole. He bought this parcel of land over here. It's got nothing to do with it. It's 4 points. It goes from here, a point here, a point there. It's just 4 points on the deed. He bought that, and the access goes across there for these people back here up in the cul-de-sac to have access to the lake. Well, the neighbor that lives over here, he come in and he was really upset because Dustin had told him and his wife that neither one of them could have access and anybody that signed one of these letters. I'm sure if we needed to be a little more people here if stuff like that wasn't done. And I understand we got the permit, he started building. He put a pad in. I looked at the zoning, it doesn't seem like you can't put a pad there. You know, it's a driveway. And so the construction that was started from the planning board's decision, I went down there, that was on Wednesday, I went down there Friday. It wasn't gonna be filed till Monday or Tuesday of the next week. I had told Tina that I was gonna put in, I wanted to put an appeal in, and I got the paperwork for the process. I got it together, and I put it in. Now, from what I seen that was being done from the time that the permit was given, was pretty much anything that anybody could do. You put a cement driveway in, which is all it was. I don't think he needed a permit for that, it wasn't close to the water. He redid his driveway, don't need a permit for that, so I had no question on that. He put up the wall, the center block walls around the outside. And in the zoning, it says you can put up a wall without having a permit. So I had no question with that. Now, the permit, the appeal went in on a Friday. Come Monday, he started the construction. And he kept doing, right up to now, it's enclosed to the weather. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. I've had other people in the neighborhood have called the code enforcement, and they didn't get any answers. I called the selectmen, and I asked, I said, you know, should things be put on hold? I mean, you know, you're only talking a few days before the decision's made for it or against it. I mean, the fees have raised. It took a little bit to come up with the money to do it, but I don't think it's the right thing for the neighborhood. A lot of other people don't. And those are people that don't right there. And they were told they can't get lake access.
Well, I'm looking at this survey, and it's pretty well laid out. You know, right up on his upper corner, took the west road, a little tiny part of his lot has got an access to the lake. And that is the access to the lake, and that was pretty well marked on the survey. And had you gone completely on your survey across his lot, you would have found that excess would have showed up on that lot. And I would say it's probably the biggest part of the excess is on lot 33. Not 34.
That lot isn't referred to it, it's referred to in the registry of deeds as the lot between lot 32 and 34. I know you can assume lot 34, but
Well,
that isn't the
I'm
description.
going with this one right here, but
Okay.
yes, he does have a small corner of his lot that is the access to the lake. Now, whether the neighbors have been using the whole of lot 34 to get to the lake,
Well, that lot
That's,
33, that lot 33, that you call it 33, has access, it's deeded for anybody that has lake access to pass across that. I don't think he had any right to tell the people not to do it.
Can I speak on this matter? Because we're starting to get far from the truth here.
I didn't finish, you know.
You know. When the neighbor come up and told me, I was sitting in my house and Scott was right there. So it's not like what I'm saying, he said, and this and that, but there was somebody sitting there when he came over and he was upset about it.
well, it's a tangled mess because it's a subdivision before zoning and it was created back by Albert Cameron in '69. And probably back then the lot lines were scattered and a road was put in, but without a doubt, you've now created a real known right-of-way because you've tied it and you're traveling over it. As far as this piece that you're saying was the right-of-way,
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
you're talking about this piece right
No, over
here.
here, right here.
But this is the right-of-way. When you first get started,
No,
it said
this-
it was being used.
Lake, access to the lake right away, that's what I'm talking about. He
Yeah.
bought this parcel of land here, and he told these people here that they couldn't go over there if
Well,
he signed it.
this is not what we're here for.
No.
No, I understand, but that's
So-
why, what I'm
So
bringing
this-
up.
this shouldn't even be brought in, because this fellow on lot 34 is the problem here tonight.
Yeah,
And he does have a little piece right on the corner.
He's also above that.
I realize
Okay.
that. But this lot, 34, is what you brought before the board.
Right.
So this is all we're gonna talk about. We don't care about the neighbors, or what else is in the neighborhood. What you brought before this board tonight
Yeah.
is lot 34, and the problem that you think has been created by a garage that was issued a building permit.
Okay, I understand. I had brought up the reason why these people are here, are not gonna be here. One of them I know, and he referred to that neighbor there, that the rest of these people here couldn't go to the lake.
No, we're here for the decision of the planning board and the granting of the permit to build the garage.
Right,
Anything else?
that's it.
Dustin?
Yes, I'd like to speak. I started this process and I went to the planning board and I tried having all my ducks in a row and I laid everything out and I got a survey when in fact I didn't feel I had to get a survey, the land was already surveyed and I tried appeasing everybody. Once I got to the planning board, they asked for a second survey. I went out and I got a second survey. We've marked and double-checked things 3 times now. I've done everything they have asked. Mr. Marciello, on his complaint here, the first thing I noticed is he says it's going to change the character of the neighborhood. Now, if anything I'm doing there is I'm improving the value of their homes. If you look at Marciello's land there, he has quite a mess going on. And I'm not here to dispute this, but for him to make that accusation towards someone trying to clean their house up is a stretch. We're not here to discuss the other lot over there, but it was spoken on public TV. I do need to say that lot is split in half. I had a problem with a neighbor causing property damage, and I told him to stay to the half of that lot that the people do have a right to the water. I haven't shut anybody off from the water. Half of that lot is designated for the back lots, and by all means, let them use it. My side is private property, and that's what I stated. So I haven't shut anybody off from the water, and everybody can still use that as it's designated. And Mr. Marciello also made another mistake when he stated in our deed, it doesn't show that our land goes to the road. In fact, in our deed it states our land front property is supposed to go along the designated road. And that's exactly what it does. And the road has been established for more than 20 years. So I can't believe that's even an issue.
No.
That's all I have.
And we did check with the code enforcement to make sure it was okay to continue to build, and we got the okay to continue to build.
Any other questions from either party?
I may after the planning board speaks.
I'm going to let them.
You're gonna let him.
Oh, okay. Anything else, Dustin?
I don't believe so.
Actually, Sue, you want to speak? Or, I guess that the only reason why you guys are here is to verify that the planning board did their homework and
That we're in compliance.
everybody was...
I'm assuming that that's what that's for. So all we would do is reiterate what's in the minutes and what's in the, which is all public information, what's also in the notice of decision. And I guess I'd like to reiterate, I think a couple of you guys and the original applicant kind of alluded to it. Most of the discussion so far tonight has absolutely had nothing to do with the planning board decision.
Right.
So if the appeal is the planning board decision that the Massiellos don't believe that the planning board should have approved a garage with that setback, and I want to make sure I'm clear on what they're questioning.
That's the way I read it.
Okay. They don't approve of the garage with the current setback.
Right.
All right. So just to reiterate then, just strictly by the ordinance, Section 208 applies. It's a substandard, non-conforming lot of record. The planning board has the authority to reduce the dimensional requirements. If the front setback is all that's in question, that's all I'll talk about. We reduced that setback to 30 feet from the front property line. That's in the notice of
Yeah.
decision. We do have the authority to do that.
What about the sideline?
That we have the authority to do that too, but that, as I understand it, is not in question. We reduced it to 10 feet, but that's not what's in question tonight. That's why I want to make sure I clarify that it's the front setback only that they're talking about.
In a grandfathered lot, a lot created before 1977, the planning board does have the authority to go within 10 feet if it's hooked to the existing structure. I mean, it is definitely hooked to the existing structure, so.
As far as the reference to the character of the neighborhood, if you look in the zoning book, Section 3, talks about what comprises the AR zone, which is what this is. I have to stand back a little, I didn't bring my reading glasses tonight. Much of the land in this district is being used and in the foreseeable future will continue to be used as forest and farmland, though it is generally suitable for higher densities of development than previously exist. And then it talks about its proximity to schools, etc. It talks about some soils, water supplies, and that the process of transition from relatively unintensive uses, primarily agricultural, to more intensive residential and commercial land use activities is in its early stages. Now, that was written in 1977. And what it refers to is the increase in commercial and residential intensity of development. So this is an AR zone, agriculture and residential, and in that area, I didn't see any agricultural uses, but there's plenty of residential uses. And we did an unofficial, Kurt used his laser measuring tape to do an unofficial measurement of the neighbors' homes across the street, only to the edge of the road, because we couldn't determine, not being surveyors, we can't determine the right-of-way, so we only went to the road. So you got to realize this is more distance than what actually exists.
So you guys did do a sidewalk?
We did do a site walk, yes. The three houses across the street were 33 feet, 36 feet, and 69 feet, 9 inches from the edge of the road. So if you went to the property line, it would be less, because the right-of-way would encroach there. We didn't have any way to measure that. So those houses are actually substantially closer to the property line than the numbers I just read to you. We gave Dustin Holden's permit down to 30 feet, which is not out of line with the homes across the street there. Yes, it's a garage, and the others do not have a garage, but a garage and a residential use are synonymous. I mean, no one thinks a garage on a house is unusual. So I don't think it changes the character of anything. The A&R zone alludes to higher intensity of commercial and residential development over time. We're 30 years later than when that was written. It's clearly true. It is an area filled with homes, and the homes across the street are all closer to the road. And we do have the authority to reduce the setback to what we did reduce it to. And in addition to all of that, I think there was some misunderstanding that if neighbors don't particularly care for a project, that the planning board has some obligation to, I'll use the word, to stop the,
Right.
the planning board's job is not to stop projects. It's to use the ordinance to
Right.
satisfy the applicant's request where possible. And that's what we did. We have the authority to do that. We can use public hearings and site walks to get public input on things to condition an applicant's approval. So for example, the folks across the street were concerned that the headlights coming out of that garage would be shining in their bedroom window. We would not change the setback we were giving him, but we might require him to build a fence for his neighbor, or some buffer. The purpose of those site walks and public hearings are to find ways to mitigate the effect on the neighbors, not to stop an application from going forward. So what we could have done, if there were any of those concerns, would be to try to mitigate lights, noise, anything like that, but none of those issues were brought up. So the only issue brought up was that it was the character of the neighborhood, which we addressed, and whether or not we have the authority, which we clearly have the authority.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, and I don't even think this board has the authority to stop work. That would have to go to a judge in a hurry.
Oh, you mean as far as once the appeal was filed for?
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on that, but I believe you did talk to Patty about that, yes.
Did work would proceed.
And I think, I'll go out on a limb and say, I think that is standard, because otherwise the appeal process could go on forever, and then somebody would never,
Right after our first meeting, I checked on that, and then when they filed their appeal, I checked on that.
that's really a CEO question, but
I have
Tina's
that.
confirmed that they didn't verify that answer.
Anything else? You still studying? You having a test tomorrow or what? You're good?
Yes.
Okay.
How long's that road been in the condition it's in, it's being paved and, does anybody know that?
It was paved in 91.
Is there anybody else in the audience want to say anything? You all done? Questioning?
Yep.
Okay. I will close the public.
Excuse me, one more thing, just want to mention one thing. The houses that she's talking about are the houses, I just want to know you understand, those are the houses that the road's on the front. That she's talking, the houses that they measured from are the houses where the road is now, which should be on the other side of the pole, telephone pole.
But we can't, we have to use the road as it is.
Oh, no, I understand that you're using the road as it is, but the reason why the front yard setbacks are reduced over there is because the town put the road where it's flat.
Okay. Thank you.
My question there would be is, before they installed this road, who verified property lines for that property?
My
Just take it
understanding
all.
also was in 1991, that Doug Foglio had considered about putting that road back on the other side of that telephone pole. Why he didn't do that, I don't know.
No, I want to correct something. Doug Foglio might have been working it well, but Doug Foglio has never been the road commissioner in town. And the road commissioner, if that's a town road, would have had the jurisdiction to where that road is and where it is today.
Well, I know
Not
Glenn
Doug Foglio.
Bean and Foglio were out there doing that project, and when they paved that road.
I would believe that a survey would have had to confirm the property lines for that.
And I just wanted to add to that, John, that we work from the survey presented to us, which was a new survey and was reconfirmed when they bought the lot next door, which we insisted on because there was such argument over it. I asked Mr. Holden to have a second one done, and it reconfirmed the first, and additionally, the road is where it is, and If that's a town road, the town put it in, and you have to assume it's in the correct spot, and if not, the pins would be coming out of the pavement somewhere.
And I
So-
would think that the people that own that land
Would
would
have
be
been
squawking and
screaming that,
saying,
yeah.
why'd you take
And
my
all
land
we can
without
work with is the
permission?"
information that we have today, and we had valid surveys supporting it.
Anything else?
What I understand, that telephone pole that's on the other side, that I was talking about, referring to, that was on the other side of the street, that was on the other side of that tar road.
Okay.
And the power company came in and put it back on the other, where the road was supposed to be.
Any other comments? I will close the public section of this hearing, and we need to discuss and make a motion. Any more discussion? You?
No, I'm all set.
We're all set. I'll make a motion that we go by the planning board and the CEO's decision as it stands. There isn't any reason for us to overturn anything.
I'll second the motion.
Comments? All in favor? No opposed? But the one last thing is that if either, anybody here, and any of the people that have anything to do with this, if you're unhappy with this decision, you may request consideration by the board. Parties' grievance by this decision may appeal to the Supreme Court within 40...
Superior Court.
Superior Court. Supreme Court, gotta go to Washington, right?
Superior.
Superior Court within 45 days of the date of this decision. That's in accordance with 30-A MRSA 2691 of the main rules of civil procedure, Rule 80B. Please note that a request for consideration must be made in writing within 10 days of the vote of this board. The board must complete all action on this motion and reconsider within 45 days of its original vote. If the board votes to reconsider, the period for appeal will be 15 days after the board's decision. Meeting closed.